mental that we're recording another video. Here we are. I'm actually on a walk right now after work. Decided to put on a different top. I'm not sure how bright this is, maybe that's better. Just decided to get dressed, get ready, had a shower, and have a little walk around a newly built area near me. So I thought I'd dedicate this video towards tips in language learning, considering I've been doing it sort of like for about 10-12 years or something like that, and I felt like I just wanted to make a video on this topic, to be honest. I mean, languages at the moment has been something I've really been like honing in on, learning a lot more about, and yeah, to be honest, like after so many years of doing it, you sort of think you know it all and you get a bit big-headed, but actually there's a lot I didn't know until quite recently, and probably still a lot I don't know at this point. By the way, if the camera's shaky or just not that great quality, the really bright background or anything, it's only because I've got my phone a bit more discreet than having a big camera or something. Also battery and whatnot, and I'm about to jump over a marsh. It's gonna go this way. So yeah, I figured before the sun goes down and before I black out because you can't see me, that we would do a video just based off of tips in language learning and what I've learned over the years. I've not really planned for this video, and I'm a complete noob at actually recording like this as well, because I just locked my phone when I was like halfway through talking. Yeah, anyway, I find it really interesting how people can engage in another culture just by learning their language, even a little bit. You don't have to be fluent and like native like to actually learn the language. You know, just or even to converse with someone and actually like just get a conversation going. You only need to know basics, and for some languages you can learn them in a few months if you really like focus in on it. I'm literally on like a tiny little island thing surrounded by some really crappy lake moat or something. Yeah, so anyway, this isn't planned. I just sort of thought off the whim I would come out and do a little video while it's nice and sunny. You can't really see because the weather's nice at the moment. It's been like 20 degrees, and in the UK that's really unheard of. Next week we're apparently having snow, so let's walk up this way. Yeah, there we go, sun in my face. I'm going to swap hands right now so I don't lock the screen again. Language learning. So I've got to think of this off the top of my head, so apologies if there's a lot of cuts and stuff. Tip number one, I would say don't rely on like one resource. I've recently watched a video actually from a YouTube channel called Ikena, who does language learning stuff as well. So that is, I believe, if I remember correctly, something that he pointed out, and I thought it was a good point, because I fell into that category big time. Don't rely on one resource, because if you rely on one resource, what happens is that you just end up like not learning that much. So for me, for example, for years and years, I'm talking from maybe the age of like 15 or 16 up until the age of like 20, I would use Duolingo like all the time, and that'd be my only resource. And the issue with that is Duolingo is a bit of a shit app, to be honest. There's so many better apps. I'll talk about some later anyway. But also, putting all your eggs in one basket means that you're just not going to learn as much. Limited resources in Duolingo means that a lot of their sentences are about animals and just things. So if you've ever used Duolingo, you know what I mean. It doesn't touch on grammar, and like sometimes you want to learn about grammar, for example, we just can't learn it on Duolingo. I could really go in on that app. It's not that useful, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're learning a language, just like switch it up. So the way to do this, watch TV in that language, listen to the music maybe, just experiment with different apps. Maybe one will work for you that doesn't work for me, for example. Read in that language, all these different things, you know, they'll help. So try and diversify your language intake, maybe even speak the language as well. And that way it'll keep it fresh, and yeah, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Right, now that I'm not quite as worn out because we were just walking up a hill and I was trying to talk, and that doesn't work well for someone who's like pretty unfit, hasn't really done a lot of exercise in the last like year at least because of COVID. I'm still a little bit out of breath actually. Tip number two, I would say, if you're learning a language so if you're English, for example, and you natively speak English, if you're learning a language that's other than French, Spanish, Swedish, Dutch, maybe even like Portuguese, you know, other than the Romance languages and other than maybe some Germanic languages, I wouldn't worry too much about the grammar. The thing is, if you worry about grammar, grammar is really overwhelming. I'm gonna stop right here for a minute, catch my breath and enjoy the view. Grammar is really overwhelming. When I first looked into Polish a few years ago, I really was interested to like learn the language and like being able to speak something that just looked crazy to an English person. You know, you ever look at Polish written down, you'll know what I mean. It's an insane language. I still struggle with pronouncing it. I think I always struggle pronouncing it, to be honest. But besides the point, when I first looked at Polish, the one thing that really put me off was the grammar. I looked at the grammar, I saw there were 7 cases, 3 genders, and just all this other crazy stuff with Polish. Word order doesn't particularly matter. And I've heard that from like almost every single Polish person I've ever spoken to. They just say, you can say things in whatever order and it'll still make sense because of the context, and don't worry about this and that and the other. It gets really confusing for somebody who speaks English as a native language. Just trying to understand like what the hell is the case. If you've never even looked into languages before, you might even be confused as to, what do you mean grammatical genders? What do you mean French has masculine and feminine? It's all just like leave genders out of languages. So if you're learning, like the reason that I say other than the Romance languages and some other similar languages, because if you're learning a language like French, for example, you probably can learn the grammar. So I'm talking specifically within your first year or so, maybe. If you learn grammar from like Spanish, German, French, Dutch, this grammar it can be difficult, especially for German, because they do have cases. It can be difficult to learn, but overall it's not that bad. When compared to something like Russian, Japanese, Korean, these are the sort of languages I'm talking about when I say avoid the grammatical, just anything actually to do with grammar, now that I think about it. Hungarian, Icelandic even. Any language like that, that's just like really far away from your first language. I would say just forget about it, don't worry about the grammar. And instead, again, read, watch TV, do that type of thing. You know, naturally intake the language, and then after a while you will pick up on the grammar. Now it's really hard for me to say this actually, because I'm still on my journey to learning Spanish to a degree where I'm like comfortable enough with it, and that really boils down because these are mistakes that I made basically with Spanish, but now I'm trying to learn Polish and just other languages, and like I find my learning is a lot more quicker. If I would have learned French first and then I went into Spanish, I think my level of Spanish would have been about the same it is now if I picked it up a year ago as my second or third language learn, as opposed to my very first one that I ever decided to learn. And just because there's things you pick up along the way, the more languages you learn, the better you get at it basically. But grammar, I don't know, grammar is just like this difficult one. People really worry about grammar. Day one, I've got to really nail the past tense in the second person, or I don't know, just tenses alone, they count as grammar. Tenses are difficult to learn. I mean, English, I think English has three tenses: past, future, present. I say I think because there might be another one, I just don't know, because that's the thing, you learn grammar when you don't learn grammar, basically you learn how to speak when you grow up. You speak with your parents, your friends, your family, and then you get to the age of like 12 and you go to school, and then in school they go, today we're gonna learn some English, and you're like, why? I already speak English. And then they go, yeah, but do you know what a plural is? Do you know what adjective and nouns are? And obviously it gets harder than that after some lessons, but you learn your language, basically the building blocks. You already can speak it, you can speak it fine, you can converse and understand what people are saying without knowing what a plural is, or a noun or adjective, whatever, grammatical words for things, basically. I digress a little bit. I think English has 3 genders. I never really bothered to Google it because I feel stupid if I do, because I'm sure it does. Something like Spanish, when I learned, there were, I believe the number is 17 tenses. I sort of shat a brick a little bit, because past, future, present, they're the 3 tenses we have in English. How on earth do the Spanish get like an extra 14 tenses? It's absurd to me. Like, I really just didn't understand it until you understand there are tenses, like if something happened more recently or a long time ago, or there's a tense for like you know, how far away something is from you. It's confusing to explain to an English speaking person, which is why I can't explain what cases are when I talk about Polish, because I still don't understand them myself. But there's so many things to worry about with grammar, and I really just think grammar is not that important to learn straight away. Learn the language for a year. Learn it by like just input being reading, listening. Actually, that's like the 2 main ways. So if you read a lot, then you'll pick up on the words. Look at, in your language that you speak now, English most likely, if you're watching this video. If you look at all the smart people from your school, what were they doing to be so smart? Most likely they were reading books, and so they get the knowledge, and their level of said language was a lot better because they were just reading all the time. So reading, that should really be a separate point. Like point number 3, I've sort of blended it into the grammar thing. Point number 3, say read straight away. I've seen, I would say, a significant improvement in my Polish ability to at least recognize words because I've done a lot of reading now in Polish. How do I do this when I don't even know the language? Well, I use an app, obviously not sponsored because my channel's dead and whatever. But I use an app called Link. I've spoke about this actually, I think, in my previous video. Basically, Link just allows you, it enables you to read in, I don't know, like 25 languages at your will. Obviously, you have to pay for it. I think it's like £100 a year. I think it's really worth it because you're meant to use it like daily if you're serious about it anyway. And doing it daily, you really can see a significant improvement just on your language ability. Like I say, at the moment in Polish, I mean, I would find it difficult to really say anything in Polish at this moment that makes sense. I can say random words that I remember just from because of reading it, so I recognize words and I remember some, you know. It works like that. The way the app works is you just read and read and read, and you highlight words that you know. Actually, you highlight words that you don't know, but still, you tick off the ones basically that you know, etc. I've already explained it in another video, and I'm sure if you like languages, you probably already know what the app is. But I'm at roughly 2,000 known words in Polish after a couple months, maybe. I think it was like 2 months ago I made the video, so I decided to learn Polish. Yeah, it's a really interesting language. I really like it. My ability to speak it is pretty shit at the moment, especially, and I really hate the way my hair is just stuck up like this. I had a shower before I came out and it's just there. I don't even know, I don't care. So I can, like I say, I can say certain things. Yeah, they're basic. So tam u ciebie, so słuchać. They both mean the same thing, like what's up, how are you, whatever. Wygląda, or other similar words are like wyglądać. I'm just trying to think of random stuff. I don't know. There's no point me saying random words. You get the idea. The app, you can read, you can listen, and then the idea is that once you just know enough words, you can then start to speak it just every day. It works anyway. I think it's really helped me a lot. That's the one thing that I have taken away from last year. It was last year when I really started looking into reading into other languages. Reading is very powerful when it comes to learning another language. Yeah, that's just the perfect way to say it. I think it's just really powerful. reading and listening. If you read a language, you get to recognize the words. You might recognize the word, you have no idea what it means. On Link, you can then press it and it'll tell you what it means, or the phrase, whatever, and things are just fine. Things just work. And over time, if you use it enough, obviously, if you use it, let's say, every single day, and you're just reading enough, you will get to the point where you recognize words, so you say you know them, and then that's how you build up a count. In Polish, I've got a count of about 2,000 words. In Spanish, I've got a count of about 10,000 words. It's coming up close to 10,000, and I'm excited to hit 10k, because I think that's a pretty good number to hit in Spanish, regardless of how long I've been learning it for. 10,000 known words in a language, that's really good. And you know, I don't know how many words I want to sort of know yet on that app, but 10,000, maybe 12,000 or something, then you can really start to look at trying to speak like properly. I can say things in Spanish, but they're going to be broken. You know, some things will be fine, but other things that I can say, they will be broken because I don't have the right tense, or like some other grammatical thing, or because I know individual words, but I probably don't know how to put them into a sentence. The list sort of goes on. So there's a lot of things to learn in a language, and I think first of all, just start by reading, listening. A lot of people say to speak that language as soon as you can. I think this is a pretty good thing to do. I've recently, as in the last like week or so, started to try and just say things in Spanish like out loud. I used to do it all in my head, but I don't know. I think when you say things out loud, it actually helps a lot better with your pronunciation, confidence, and just your flow of words. I mean, it's a lot better anyway than having it in your head. And I think also it helps you to try to stop to translate. My biggest issue, regardless of language, is that I do translate in my head. If I'm trying to say something in Spanish, even right now, I'm not sure what even to say. But if I'm trying to say something in Spanish, first of all, I'd think of the English equivalent, and then goes into Spanish. But that means I'll be stood here like a potato, just thinking, what do I say? So like when I've been doing this on my own and just saying random stuff, you know, for example, necesito practicar en español porque mi hablando en español no es bueno. You know, that's just simple. Es muy importante para mí aprender español. So when I'm saying stuff like that, I mean, that's quite a simple thing. I don't make the speeches that difficult, because real life, when I'm going to be using Spanish, most likely it'll be when I'm traveling around Spain or other Spanish speaking countries, and it'll be like I want to ask people like how their lives are, and most likely when I'm doing like vlogs on YouTube, when travel vlogging is a thing again. So for Spanish, the thing I want to achieve is just being able to speak it, and like at a comfortable level, and being able to communicate. It doesn't bother me if I use the wrong tense or whatever, but some people it does bother them, maybe if you're practicing for a test or something. So I keep the speech fairly simple, but I do try to change it up a little bit, because the thing is, when you say something, I don't know, like when you say something and then you get tripped up on a particular word. I'm just trying to think what to say right now. El tiempo es realmente bueno esta noche. And then I want to say something, I don't know, about space. La espacio, I actually know that word. But like, let's say you didn't know how to say the word space, as in outer space, because you said the weather's really nice today. You can really see outer space, for example. You know, if you don't know how to say that word, then you can say every other word in the sentence. And so you might end up speaking something like a mix between English and Spanish, or whichever two languages you're speaking. El tiempo es, I should really say esta. El tiempo está muy bueno tonight, because you don't know how to say tonight. Esta noche. But if you don't know how to say tonight, you don't, I should probably learn how to say that word, then I can say that sentence. And yeah, I mean, just chat shit basically. Just say things that are probably for you that you actually want to say. Like, there's no point saying something like mi autolizador está lleno de anguilas, because there's no point saying that particular sentence, because not once am I ever going to say my hovercraft is full of eels. But if you wanted to say mi autolizador está lleno de anguilas, then you can learn that sentence and you'll be fine. Same as like Swedish. Jag har 4 år lär. Or at least that's my best pronunciation of it. I don't learn Swedish, so apologies if you know Swedish and think I butchered it. I believe the translation for that is I have 4 lizards. Yeah, just something I know, and it's completely useless. So no, I can't speak Swedish, but jag har 4 år lär is the only thing I can say that sounds like I can speak Swedish. It's a little flex. You say to someone, oh yeah, I know how to say something in Swedish, jag har 4 år lär, and then they're like, wow, you don't even need to pronounce it correctly, you just say it. So you can't reach this I guess confidence and this fluency in speaking without at least practicing. And so I think practicing out loud, sometimes I do it when I'm just in my bedroom, or maybe I'll do it quietly to myself if I'm in the shower, something like that. It doesn't have to be boisterous and loud and, you know, everyone on the mountaintops has to hear what you're saying, but it just has to be spoken, like at some level anyway, just so then you feel confident in speaking. Because when you're confident, disfrutando, enjoying, or disfruto hablando español, por ejemplo, then, you know, you start to have fun with it. You really do. And there's other things you can, I guess, enjoy about it as well. But you learn to read, and then you learn, well, you read and you listen, and you learn to eventually speak, and it all just builds up from there. So I do genuinely think by reading in the language with the help of that app Link, or you can use whatever app you want, use Kindle if you want, but Link is specifically designed to help read in these languages. And I've shown before, it's got a lot of different languages, every major language in the world. I think all of the Romance languages, Slavic languages, which is where I'm learning Polish, but also has like Slovak and Czech and Russian and Ukrainian, and you know, it's got some interesting languages on there. Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese. You know, it's got like an interesting library. Bulgarian, it's just a random one shoved in there as well, and some other Serbian, Croatian. There's some interesting languages on there. Maybe you look at it and you go, I want to give Croatian a go, because I want to visit Croatia one day, and I want to live like a Croat. Said that weirdly. I want to live like a Croat. So I want to learn something in their language. And yeah, just by reading, it helps you use other apps and use other resources, I would say, to learn phrases and other things like that. As I say in my Polish, there are no roughly 2,000 words. When I read them, I can identify about 2,000 words. Realistically, I can't produce most of those words off the top of my head. Po chwili is one that I just remembered. It's more of a saying because it's 2 words. I think it means after a while. You know, so there's other things like that. Just words can pop into my head and I'll be like, oh yeah, again, so słuchać, you know. And that's one that I know because it's a nice little greeting. Cześć, so słuchać. But actually, I don't know, zdecydoję is one of the ways you can say decides, but because of genders and cases and whatever else, you can say zdecydoję in so many different ways. Zdecydoję, I don't even know. But I recognize these words. I see them in a different form. I still recognize what they mean in context. Tip number 4, I'll probably leave it at this last tip. My phone battery is close to being dead. It's also getting darker. I think it's almost sunset, like in any moment it's just going to go black. And yeah, I'm sort of struggling to think. I should have really prepared for this video. Tip number 4, I would say immerse yourself into the language. Similar, I guess, to the last point I made, sort of reading, speaking, listening, etc. But immersion goes a bit further than that. Immersion goes to the point of like listening to music, watching TV in that language, you know, changing your phone language, for example, to the language you're trying to learn. Everything you can think of. You know, one thing you can do when you change your phone language to said language, let's say Spanish, you change it to Spanish, you can then actually have a conversation with Siri, so then you can have a conversation. And that's just one of the known perks that I've learned over the years. Like, you could do that. I've never done it, but you can do it. You know, same way you can talk to Siri in English. Obviously you want to learn a language, so you can speak to Siri in Spanish or whatever. It may help, it may not, depending on how you use it. So immerse yourself into the language. So at the moment I'm watching La Casa de Papel in Spanish, because it's originally a Spanish show, and it's actually from European Spain as well, which is the version of Spanish I'm trying to learn, because it's more useful for me because I'm European. La Casa de Papel is, you know, a really interesting show. It's Money Heist, if you haven't seen it. The English equivalent is called Money Heist. La Casa de Papel in English literally translates to the House of Money. So I've been watching that, and I'll be honest, I don't understand a lot of what's going on. I understand from context, but in terms of if I was just listening, no, not really. I don't pick up on a lot of words. There are some words that I know, some words I don't, because it uses a lot of like fast speech. Subtitles aren't always 100% accurate, and it uses like, I guess, really advanced language. I'm still not at the advanced level, regardless of how long I've been learning my Spanish for. But this is just one example. La Casa de Papel has helped me. I'm now on like season 2, and it just helps me to like understand the language. What I'm going to do is watch all 4 seasons, or however many seasons there are. I think there's going to be a 5th one soon. Watch all the seasons, and then go back and then rewatch again. But what I'm going to do is like read through the scripts on the app I was just talking about, Link, so you can import these scripts into that app as well. Import the scripts onto the app, read through them, highlight words and stuff that I don't and do know, get an idea of what actually is going on, context, and then rewatch La Casa de Papel again. And then hopefully the second watch through, I'll understand more. Originally what I was going to do is watch in Spanish, watch in English, watch in Spanish. But I think reading it will be a lot more beneficial, personally. But it's something I'm experimenting with. Also, another series I'm watching in Spanish is Ingobernable. It's a series on Netflix again. It is Mexican Spanish, however, so it's not as appealing to me. Spanish is Spanish, but different regions and stuff, it means that, you know, it might confuse the learner. So I have tried to keep it simple, just whatever's made in Spain, because that way I know it's Spanish slang, Spanish lingo. Sometimes the words are just completely different, regardless of slang and whatever. So yeah, that's basically what I do. In terms of music, I don't listen to a lot of Spanish music or Polish music. Main reason, I just enjoy the music I listen to way too much. Just so it happens that all the really interesting music that I love just happens to be English, with the exception of Rammstein, which is German. So if I ever picked up on German, Rammstein would be like on a lot more, just so I can learn that language at least better to, you know, whatever degree the lyrics are in. The lyrics are like really weird and crude when translated, but I already know a lot of like Rammstein lyrics, so I know a lot of random German words. So if I went to go learn German, I don't think it would take me that long to really get the hang of the language, honestly. And it's very similar to English as well. But yeah, because I listen to a German band, basically a band that literally speaks German and sings in German, and because it's enjoyable, it would help me to some degree learning the language, at least understanding, you know, the rhythm of the language. Another thing you can do before I go is just to watch YouTube channels in as well. So I was saying TV a lot, but actually you can watch YouTube, and I do watch YouTube channels in Spanish and in Polish. Most the one that I watch the most, I guess, would be Easy Spanish or Easy Polish, or just easy languages in general, like YouTube channels. Easy German sometimes I watch as well, just for fun. Yeah, basically they have by subtitles, which means you have subtitles sort of like how I do in these videos, I guess, in English and then in the language that's being spoken. So it helps you to know what's being said. You can watch them multiple times. They're normally quite small. Yeah, good channels to watch if you wanted to learn said language. And yeah, that's basically it. I don't know how many tips there is. I think it was like 4 with a few extra tips maybe or something. I don't even know. To be honest, this is just me wanting to get a video out there because I'm struggling for video ideas. I've had to take a big L on like not being able to travel, obviously. So it sort of sucks a little bit. And I just fancied a walk. You know, it was a really nice day. It was like 20 degrees, like I said. At the moment, it's probably like 17. And it's like almost nightfall. So there we are anyway. There's another video from me, just trying to do what I can. I don't know when the next video is going to be. I've got to wrap this up a little bit quick because this phone keeps on stopping videos of me because the memory's full on my phone. So yeah, sorry, I've got to do sort of a quick outro, but thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, really just let me know in the comments if you want to see more like language learning things. It's interesting. I honestly just enjoy learning languages, and I think it's interesting to just do videos on things that I'm genuinely passionate about. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know, and hopefully see you guys in another video very soon. Until then, thank you for watching and peace out.